so freaking bad. Wrestle me.
Welcome, everybody, to Juice Pro Wrestling, episode 186, the Kick Demon. That's right. We have a very special guest with us. She is an up-and-coming independent women's professional wrestler who's got her own unique look and style, and we very much fucking appreciate it. She's going to be competing March 19th for Wrestlerave in Houston, Texas. We have the one, the only, the Kick Demon herself, Janai Kai.
Oh my God!
Janai Kai, girl, how the fuck are you doing?
My gosh. You need to be like my ring announcer for like all my shows, please.
Sign me up. I'm there.
That was amazing, but I'm doing well. I'm pretty sore, pretty tired, but I'm hanging in there, you know.
Training?
Well, I had 2 shows this past weekend, and I took a lot of big bumps, I'm not going to lie, and then I had a little bit of sleep. So, yeah, I'm literally trying to get through the rest of everything else that I have going on, and then I should be good.
Oh, yeah. Sounds like you're trying to put a lot of punch holes in that proverbial bump card of yours there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So speaking of bump card, this weekend, you have a lot going on your plate. You have a match with Nick Irene. Shout out to him real quick, the promoter of Wrestlerave in Houston, Texas. Great guy, great promotion. Jack of all trades is the name of the show. You have a match with how do you pronounce her name?
Rache Chanel.
Rache Chanel, right. I've seen her on AEW programming, like yourself too, and we're going to get into that. What are you doing in preparation for this match, and have you guys ever squared off before?
We have not squared off before. We have ran into each other a few times throughout the years, but yeah, it's going to be the first time we're going to be wrestling. From what I know and from what I've seen, she goes hard as well. So I am all for it. But she also likes to comb people's hair.
She's bougie as fuck too.
Yeah, she's definitely bougie. I think she actually owns up to that name, and she actually goes by bougie something. But yeah, I don't know, man. Like, if she's gonna come at me with her comb or whatever, there's not much you can comb from here. But she can try.
Tong Po haircut. I like it.
She can try, and yeah, exactly. She can try and comb this Tong Po haircut going on. But I don't know if she's gonna be able to reach it because my legs are coming right at her. If anything,
she's probably gonna need Britt Baker or somebody to reach down and grab the fucking teeth out of her throat that you're about to kick down her throat. Am I right or am I wrong, sister?
Exactly. If something needs to go on, that's the one thing for sure.
Hell yeah. How often do you make it down to Texas to wrestle?
I don't come down here often. So the last time I was here, it was a couple of months, but before that, it was like July last year. But I'm here for a month now because I've just heard so much about Texas wrestling. And if anything, it's kind of like blowing back up again. So, and I'm seeing that for sure. I believe that. And a lot of the athletes down here are really just killing it. And so I want to come down here and wrestle these guys and see what's going on, like Texas wrestling for real, what it's all about. So I'm here for a month, and then of course through Mania week, and then I'll go back home.
Well, speaking of Mania week too, that's interesting because I mean, not only are you doing Wrestlerave when you're going to be a part of the collective via Josh Barnett's Bloodsport. You're taking on Masha Slamovich. How fucking stoked are you for that? Because it's a unique concept within the world of professional wrestling. What's your feelings and like, what's going through your head for that? I mean, do you have butterflies for that shit? Or are you just ready to, beat a bitch down?
I'm always ready to fight. That's one thing. Like, and especially with Masha, because me and her have actually wrestled in this type of styled match. If anything, like the majority of time has been shoot style matches with her. And so having it at Bloodsport is just going to be a whole other level for sure. I can feel it and I know it. And I know she's ready too. And so I'm ready to go all in with her because we both go hard as fuck. So I am ready to go. I'm so hyped. When I saw that announcement, I was like, hell yeah, this is it. This is definitely it.
Hell yeah. They need to have it's usually always it gets pretty bloody there out of the last several that I've seen. And like I said, just a very unique presentation for professional wrestling. I mean, look who's putting it on. Josh Barnnett, he's from the mixed martial arts game himself, and he's a big metalhead. So shout out to him. Now, as far as the collective, you got that going on. And you haven't really been in the game that long, that many number of years, but you're popping up everywhere. You're popping up on AEW program. You're doing GCW. What are some of the other promotions that you've been able to work for? And is it just word of mouth? Like, how are you getting all these bookings like in such a short amount of time? Because my personal opinion is, you're badass in the ring. You have this unique look, this unique style and I want to get into that in a little bit. But it kind of harkens back to me, like, I mentioned Tong Po earlier, like the old, like, kickboxer type shit. And it's just, you have the way you walk and carry yourself in the ring and deliver those fucking devastatingly fucking demon-like kicks. It's insane. So, but yeah. I mean, is it just people word of mouth? I mean, everybody's seeing what you're doing and like, hey, we got to sign you, or not sign you, but you know what I mean? Like, get you to do an event.
Yeah. So it's kind of crazy to me too, how all of that is happening, because I didn't see these like bookings start piling up until I moved back home to DC from Florida. So like in Florida, that's where I did some of my training. And then I think it was like 2 years of just being down there. I decided to move back home to DC. And then right when I moved back home, that's when, like, for some reason, the booking started piling up. And also I kept in mind that other states that I wanted to wrestle at were closer to DC than Florida. So the traveling just seemed way easier. So it kind of made sense in my head as to like why I'm getting more bookings. So like, for example, like going to Jersey it's 4 hours, but 4 hours to me now is like nothing.
Yeah, that ain't shit.
Yeah. Or like Pennsylvania. I did make it over to Illinois here and there. It's a little bit of a longer drive, but still it's better than being in Florida and going all the way up. So yeah, that's when I started seeing more of the bookings happening more and started piling up. And as far as like word of mouth and all of that, I think social media helped a bunch, because there are a couple people that I appreciate so much that support me by making gifts of me and like little highlight videos and stuff.
Shout them out, girl.
Yeah. Well, the number one person his name is Hellmatic, and he makes the most amazing gifts ever. And it's funny because he told me that he was more of a martial arts fan than a wrestling fan. And that's how he found me, because of martial arts. And then on top of that, he does like wrestling, but he just loves martial arts and wrestling together. And of course, that's what I kind of showcase. So yeah, he loved that. And so he just started making gifts for me. And so he's been the number one person that has helped me out with that. So I think that's what has helped the most, is just those little things. And, always trying to post on social media and share my stuff and then putting myself over in a sense.
Yeah, you got to. And it's the modern day equivalent to tape trading, the gifts. And, I've been to many, many events, and a lot of the men and women backstage, once they come off a killer match, they're always looking, right? Like instantly looking for like that moment, see if anybody's captured anything, like, so they can share it out there. And I get it. It's a one badass gift. A lot of these men and women have gotten some insane booking shit that they probably would have never thought possible just because the right person saw this clip,
Yeah.
So it's super cool, super easy for you guys to do nowadays.
Yeah.
Speaking of martial arts, I want to dive into that a little bit, because I've seen with some of your gear, you got like the Bruce Lee kind of game, was it the Game of Death, yellow and black jumpsuit thing, kind of going mixed in with the whole, like I said, the Tong Po kickboxer deal. Like what? Okay, so I know you're a black belt in Taekwondo, but I want to know like cinema wise, like going back, have you watched a lot of like the 80s, maybe like the late 70s kung fu movies, like the Bruce Lee's and like the Van Damme movies? And if so, what are some of your favorites?
Yeah, I have, and I'm still trying to catch up to some more because there's a lot more out there, of course, that
Oh
I
yeah.
just haven't been able to watch. But I do want to watch. Like, I have like a whole watch list, basically, like for Netflix or even like Amazon Prime Video. Like, I have movies saved on there that I want to watch. But I think like some of the movies that really caught my attention was, of course, Karate Kid. It started with Karate Kid. That was the number one movie, and like I can rewatch that a million times.
Which Karate Kid?
Oh, the '80s one, like
right.
the Daniel LaRusso
Okay.
Karate Kid. Yeah, that one for sure is the number one movie that started for me. And then I think I like turning more into like boxing. I like the Rocky movies. That's like where I started looking into, and then Bruce Lee movies here, and like there's still a lot more like Bruce Lee movies that I didn't even know existed that I want to watch. But Game of Death was my favorite one thus far that I've seen. So that's like how I got the inspiration, of course, from my gear. And then, of course, Bloodsport with Jean-Claude Van Damme was like probably the next movie after all of those that really got my attention.
Hell yeah. I'm a huge fan of the antagonist in that movie, Bolo Yeung. Because
yeah, me too.
I've been trying to get his son because Bolo seems like out of reach for me, but I've been trying to get Bolo Jr. on the show because he's a martial artist and a bodybuilder himself. Dude is ripped up like shredded wheat, but hopefully one day that'll come about. But yeah, Bolo is the shit. I just like there is like 80s, early 90s like martial arts film villains that can hold a candle to that guy.
Yep.
He scared me when I was a kid. I was obsessed with those movies, but he terrified me as a kid for this weird reason, because he was in the movies in the late 60s and 70s with Bruce Lee. And then in the mid 90s, he looked exactly the fucking same. And he's fighting Van Damme and all these other dudes. And I was like, this dude's immortal. He's a bad guy. I might meet him one day. And I can't fight.
Yeah, his son, speaking of his son, like I follow him on Instagram and I see like all the videos that he comes out with too. And I think it's just so cool just seeing like him. And then he sometimes put his dad on there too, like on social media. So it's really cool just seeing that.
Hell yeah. So like from the martial arts too, and you brought up Van Damme, which is an interesting name because I know as far as like maybe Inspirato goes in the world of professional wrestling, maybe one of your inspirations, I heard a little bird tell me that Rob Van Dam was one of your favorite wrestlers. Kind of elaborate a little more on that and what Van Dam means to you.
Well, of course, it was the martial arts background that he had that got my attention. But there's something about his charisma, something that I loved, just the way that he held himself. Yes, and the confidence, like just all of that was really inspiring to see. And so I just like to think of him as like really like one of like the GOATs for real, because a lot of people, some people like overlooked him back in the day, but like for real, if you look at it now, it's like he actually did like so much and inspired and really was different from everybody else. So that's how Rob Van Dam was to me. 100%.
Yeah, and you mentioned him being overlooked back then. I even think kind of right now, like him in Sabu. Sabu, maybe not so much the martial arts, but just for being innovative, and him and his uncle training Rob. Goddamn, Van Dam was amazing, and I'm 99.9% confident him and like guys like Jeff Hardy are the reason why we have a lot of talent today doing what they are doing. And I think it's very, very underrated, understated that Van Dam is like the guy for the pinnacle for that, if you'd be a fool not to see the resemblance with all the flippy dippy shit and all this crazy stuff going on nowadays. And if these people are telling you they weren't watching EC Dub or RVD wherever he was at back in the day, they're a damn liar, because his footprint is all over the business now. And it's crazy because just think, if his run wasn't cut short in, when he was world champ in WWE finally for a little bit of that Mota, whatever. who knows what could have happened, but he's went other places. I really enjoyed, obviously, ECW run, WWE run. I enjoyed both of his TNA runs, and he's a guy that I would love to see him do something in AEW. Even if it was just a one-off deal, like
something. So it would work so well with having him there.
He's like the guy. He's the first guy when I'm playing a wrestling video game. If he's not in the fucking game, he's the first guy I create. I still have the old on my No Mercy from 20 some years ago. I still have the old RVD.
Wow.
But yeah, I just, I heard that, and I heard you're a big fan of Tajiri as well.
Yes, Jerry was another wrestler that inspired me a lot, obviously, the martial arts background. And like when I started wrestling training, I kind of studied Tajiri because I like to be serious too, but he kind of had a little comedy here and there. So I was trying to study like, all right, how can I be a little bit funny but still be serious at the same time? Because I don't want to come off corny. I don't want to be like too corny of like people think Karate Kid, but like I don't want to be corny Karate Kid. Like I want to be serious but still have like a little bit of like comedy, but it's not too corny. So I studied him for that for sure. And so he definitely like just caught my attention with that. And then of course the mist and the way that he used the mist in his matches, like, oh my gosh, like in so many different ways, like it always pops me. Like you would expect him to do the mist, but it's just the way that he's going to do it in the match with a different person. It was amazing.
Oh yeah. Have you had a chance to meet either one of those guys?
No. And I would love to. Oh my gosh. It would be great to meet them.
What about female wrestlers?
So the first female wrestler that really got my attention because of her attitude, like I love like that I want to fight so hard attitude, and it was Victoria, like during the era where it was like she was kind of like Psycho with like Stevie Richards. That's when I started like that's when I was watching her, and that's how she like caught my attention. It was like that type of attitude and like aggressiveness that she had.
Yeah, she didn't take no shit. She was in as far as like women in that day and age too, that was the diva. I mean, even she was in before like they started calling it the divas division, but it was still very much TNA based, and she was one of the ones that stuck out in that because was she good looking? Yes, but man, that bitch could fucking go hard too. I was like, there was a lot of dudes in that time that I'd like to see her square up with. But and her TNA run I enjoyed too, mainly because I thought it was cool. She had like a whole new persona with the Terra gimmick and coming out with the tarantula, and I have tarantulas myself because I'm a weird motherfucker, but I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
I have a question. Let me butt in here. I'm going to butt in real quick.
You Stratton.
Actually, I'm going to wait for your question. I'm going to wait for your question first. I'm going to wait for your question first because I might piggyback off yours because I think I know what you're going to ask. So go ahead and ask.
Go ahead. No, you're not. You're fucking up the show, Sren, like you always do.
All right, I'll ask. So, being a new wrestler, like a wrestler that doesn't have a ton of years under your belt, I wanted to start asking this because I didn't ask this before. Given the fact that you've been at it, you've had a couple killer matches, like you've been in it, like as Wallace said earlier about the bump card, like you have been in it. Is there a particular match or a particular time in your training or so far in your career, which is newer, where you were like, here I am, I belong, like where you weren't like, I wonder if like that transition between like not butterflies before a match, but confidence that you know what you're doing and here, let's go, let's start, having matches every weekend. Let's start doing this. Like, was there a moment?
That's a very good question because I've been thinking about that too, like as to when I started feeling that way. It was definitely recent when I started feeling that way. But I would say the biggest test for me was how I was going to feel when I did my Shimmer debut, because Shimmer is also very historical.
Yes.
So when I was at Shimmer, I wrestled against Nicole Savoy, and me and her are so much alike, actually, more than I think that she knows. But having a match with her was definitely something that I didn't expect, but it was great. Like, I loved wrestling her, and then we teamed up afterwards. And so that was great too. But Shimmer is, again, it's historical. And I always watch the girls who do Shimmer. I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is like history making right now. Like, you don't even know, like there's like tapes of all of these, like, and we're going to be in some of those. Like, they're still making those like little DVDs packages and all of that. So that was like one big test for me, for sure. There was another one where I felt like I was going to be not nervous. Of course I get a little bit nervous, but to where I was comfortable in my own abilities. Because that was the number one thing that was hard, was being comfortable in my own abilities, because I do have such a different style. And I always get comments here and there about it, like, oh, you shouldn't do this too much. You should do more of that, like stuff like that, which got in my head a lot. So I think it's definitely recently where I felt like, you know what, forget about it. Like, I don't care if you're telling me that I should do a little bit, because it actually is going to work out with me. Like, you telling me to kick less in matches is not going to work out with me. Like, I'm not going to have that. And
you're a fucking kickboxer. How does that work?
Yeah. Like, because they just want to see all like the regular, like wrestling moves, whatever. That's fine. I still do wrestling moves and all of that. But the main thing, like with me, is like, of course, doing what I love doing and why I want to get into wrestling, how I want to present myself. So, you know, for a little bit of time, I was kind of I regret kind of like listening to some of these comments and trying to take some of all of that away. But I wasn't happy. So I went back to implementing my style, more kicking, like more kicking than I was doing, so that I can still get on their nerves, but be happy about it.
Well, you have to hear some of that shit too, because it's almost like take it with a grain of salt, because no matter what, wherever you're at, in whether this is any profession, someone's going to tell you, well, maybe you should do this or not do that, you know? And especially in the wrestling world, a lot of men and women might be doing that to kind of like intentionally bring your ass down, because they do see something. Like you said, you're doing something that's different. And that's the key to anything you're doing in the entertainment industry. How are you going to get more of what you want and to where you want to be? You have to stand out. You have to be that proverbial turd in a punch bowl, you know, so you listen to what they say, right? But then it's the battle up here. Like you're saying, as far as building that confidence, and that can be, for a lot of people, that can be very fucking tough to get over. But if you're confident in what you're doing, and like you're saying, like, hey, tell me to do fucking less kicks, fuck you, I'm going to do them, you know, like
I'm going to do more.
And fucking roll with it, because look where you're at now. And you want to talk about building confidence. What was it like to be ranked in Pro Wrestling Illustrated the top 500 women of 2021? You were like 468 or something like that off the top of my head. How the fuck did that feel to see that?
It was like, I didn't expect it, to be honest, because I'm still trying to learn how they do like the whole ranking systems and all that. But like of course I was like really happy to see that, and see that they're recognizing what I've done, because they like listed where I was like working, who I worked, and everything. So that was just really good to see, and it's a good feeling, of course. But I think after that, that's when I kind of started just thinking, all right, so maybe this will get me, like, more eyes will be on me, and then more bookings will be happening. So it's time to just keep doing what I'm doing, do more of it, turn it up like 1,000 times more.
Crank it down, fuckers.
Yeah, because then like this year is going to be popping. Like,
it's already popping for you.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, because like people are saying like, oh, like they've seen a lot like last year, but that was nothing. Like, to me, that was nothing. Like, if you are gonna see something, it's gonna be this year. Like, you're really gonna see me, because people saw like a little bit from Ring of Honor, and then for AEW, it's just like, again, a little bit. But I'm like, wait till you see a lot more, because it's just so much up my sleeve right now.
Oh yeah, and I kind of want to go back to you're talking about Ring of Honor. Let's touch on that real quick, because big fucking news in the wrestling world. Tony Khan purchased Ring of Honor. He now owns it. He owns the library of the rings, everything. It is his. And, you know, if it was in any better hands, it would be Allstate. Am I right? Dad jokes all the fucking time. But what's your thoughts on that acquisition, especially, you know, being a recent competitor with them?
Oh, so when I really did not expect that announcement. That just came out of nowhere for me, because I know the first thing I thought about was okay, he said he just bought Ring of Honor. I'm like, what does this actually mean? Because so many people were cut. Are you gonna bring these people over? What's happening here? What are you gonna do with this so-called new ROH? But also there's ROH happening in Mania for the Supercard, and there's already a few talent announcements for that. So what's going on here? And some of the talent announcements are not even in AEW. So I'm okay, is this all kind of connected in some way? What's going on for real? So I'm more curious as to that. Yeah, I'm excited too, because yes, we it's Ring of Honor. When I did Ring of Honor, I was freaking nervous as hell, because
I bet
it's
fucking Ring of Honor. Come on.
Yeah. I was dude, this, I've studied so many people for years back, and now I'm here. But yeah, I'm just I know a lot of people are glad that it's not completely gone, because that was the number one thing that we were hoping. And so at least it's still here. And now it's just thinking, all right, so what's happening now? Because a lot of people are gone. Are you going to use them? That type of situation.
Yeah, it's not gone, and Vince didn't buy it. There is a Lord.
Yeah.
You know, because it would have just been absorbed in for network purposes and footage. That's all they would have wanted it for. And that's crazy to think. A guy, you know, like Tony Khan, who has there's probably 30 plus men and women on his roster that are, you know, either got their start or have been through the doors of ROH at some point in time. And from what I read and understand, it's going to keep going, and they're going to utilize it as almost like a feeder system, developmental, which is cool. But I wouldn't want it to be diminished as kind of like how NXT for a long time was the better product, you know, between all three brands, and it was getting up there and was on that level, but then they would just shoot it down by kind of diminishing the fact that, well, it's just NXT, it's the feeder system, but they were putting on the best pay-per-views. They had I hate to say the best talent, because the main roster has a lot of good talent. It's just really bad writing.
Yeah.
So as long as nothing like that happens, and I think Tony's passion for the sport is, you know, it's so prevalent that's something that's impossible. I don't see him, you know, taking a huge dump on this acquisition, and he's very respectful of it.
I don't see it either, because he's already been trying to make that nostalgia happen for us, where he had Bryan Danielson, Christopher Daniels.
Yeah, that was
have
awesome.
A match the night when he announced that. So it was great to, you know, showcase that. And then the pay-per-view yesterday with CM Punk, basically just redoing that whole scenery of old school Ring of Honor. So I agree with you. We're not going to totally just throw away everything that they've done, and it's not going to be too much like an NXT 2.0. It's going to be as far as it being a feeder system, fine. But I think, you know, with
they've always kind of been a feeder for
there. Yeah, basically, you're right.
You know, because all their big stars have gone on to either Impact or WWE and now AEW.
Exactly. So it's whatever. And then, you know, the guys that are there that were in Ring of Honor, they're not going to let anything happen to that extent, you know?
Yeah, for sure. And speaking of Tony and AEW, what was your experience like when you were there? And more specifically, what was it like being in the ring with Jade Cargill? What's your take?
So Rampage, I guess. So Rampage was very last minute for me to find out that I was doing, because it was literally the day before that I found out that I was doing it. So they flew me out there the next morning. Yes, the next morning. And they told me, yeah, it's gonna be against Jade. They told me the whole deal as far as what was going on. I said, cool. Surprisingly, I wasn't nervous about this. And you know what? I think that was like another tester too. I think that was like another thing that told me that, okay, you're confident in your abilities with all this. Like the butterflies aren't like overtaking all of your feelings. So that's like one event that happened. So AEW Rampage, where I was like, I'm not nervous. I'm ready to go. Like I know how to work. Like I'm confident in presenting myself for only the little time that I have too. I know I have a little bit of time, but I know how to present myself a little bit of time. So I don't really care. I'm ready to go. So the whole experience there overall was great. And then Thunder Rosa was there, like showing me around, of course, and letting me know like how they do things like throughout the day. And
you worked Thunder in Mission Pro too.
Yeah. So, it was great to have her there and then letting me know how everything goes down.
So is the atmosphere, I mean, like backstage there, is it like that all for one mentality? Is good vibes, good place to be?
Yeah, it definitely seems like everybody is just chilling. Like it's mad chill in the sense. And like also a lot of the people that were there, like they still do indies. So like I've seen some of them like last week or like, so I'm like, oh, hey, Dan Garcia, what's up? Like, how are you doing? Like, it's just like some of those people I was like, hey, and there were like, a lot of people are like, hey, it's good to see you here. Like, what's up? How are you doing? So it's like, it's really chill, really cool. And everyone was friendly, of course. Like, I'm very good about sensing bad vibes. Or like if I know like if I'm not gonna fit in or in any shape or form, or if I like just anything. So I didn't have that feeling. I was really comfortable like just being there because I've been backstage at WWE and there's a total difference. There is a total difference. It's more tense in WWE. I will say that.
Eggshells, I mean, there's so many, and we're huge, fanboys of AEW just because as wrestling fans, I would almost think you gotta, after being like disserviced for, 2 decades with mainly garbage from the promotion that a lot of us grew up loving and then brought us a lot of our favorite superstars. So like to have a promotion like AEW come around that when they say they listen to the fans and they actually listen to the fans to the best of their ability, and they give us all these moments, and nostalgia is like the key word in professional wrestling, because I mean, it's one of those places where nostalgia is just like, it'll blow you away and you get those huge pops. You mentioned CM Punk coming out to AFI doing, the ROH entrance and stuff. And
it's like an emotional pop too, because you can always pop for something, but it's more like the emotion inside, like you actually feel it. That's what makes it different. Yeah,
totally. What about tell us that you were at Terminus in January? What was that experience like?
Oh, Terminus. So the whole concept of it was great to me because I heard, Gresham talking about what his vision is for it. And I thought it was perfect because he sees it all as he has some of these talents in mind, but he wants to have them like in a stage to, showcase themselves because he feels like they just need something.
Yes.
So they need somewhere to be to showcase, because not like some people are kind of hearing about them, but like now he wants to create the place for them to like come out and actually see them.
Yeah, be seen.
So I kind of felt that, to be honest, when he said that. I was like, okay, I kind of feel like that's what's going on with me. So I was like thankful for him like to even say that or express that. And so being there, it was great. Like they have like a different type of like concept of things. Like they actually have the time up on the screen.
I like that.
It's like if you have like a 15-minute time limit, like the time's up there, there's different rules and stuff like that, which I have to remind myself what the rules were, but
it's very sports centric. I can't name them all, but I remember seeing the list and I was like, okay, I like this.
Exactly.
And that's the way Gresham is, he's like the modern day, like Dean Malenko or something, he's just fucking insane. And I love the concept and everything about that promotion.
Have you competed in Taekwondo tournaments?
Yeah, I have. I did for the majority of like the years that I was doing Taekwondo. And so I still have all my trophies and my medals at home. But yeah, I started when I was like white belt, and I was mainly competing by myself, if anything. Like there wasn't a lot of people competing in the tournaments at my school. It was usually just me representing my school or maybe like two other people. But I would travel around mainly like in the area that I lived doing these tournaments. But they were great. It was a great experience, and I'm glad that I did those because I'm very competitive, but competitive towards myself. And so I always want to be better than I was like the last tournament. So that's how I always was when I was younger. And so I don't know if my parents were like annoyed with that or like they like seeing me be that way. But yeah, I just remember always having that feeling of always wanting to like be better than I was before. Like not be so mad that I got like third place or whatever, but like just think of all the little things that I did that I know for sure that I could, change it up next time. So it was great, like great for discipline and great for just being competitive and learning how to grow.
Did you sorry, dude. Did you take any of those, like any of that, the knowledge that you got, the rules, the way that you have to fight within the rules? Because, depending on what discipline of martial arts you're in, when you join a tournament, you have to work within the confines of that. So when you worked with Gresham, were you comfortable enough and be like, hey, I know about this and that, we can tweak some of this? Was there ever an opportunity for something like that? Maybe?
Like when I read the rules and everything, it was definitely like understandable in the way where like, okay, cool. Like I'm used to this. I'm used to having rules.
She's like I've been to the Kumite, motherfucker.
Yeah, exactly. I get it. And I've been doing a lot of shoot style matches, like different promotions, and they have rules too. So I was like, all right, cool, this is one of these, let's go. And plus, like the whole concept of Terminus is modern age grappling. So when I thought of that, I was like, all right, we're going grapple. Or like, we're just not going to do like the regular chaining that everyone sees. Like we're going to grapple, fight. That's how I see it.
Shooters and hookers.
Yeah.
Not that way, Shred, you dirty-minded son of a bitch. Damn. Can't bring this guy anywhere. Sorry, Janai. Proceed.
Sorry.
No, yeah, like that's how I see it. And I take shoot style so seriously, especially for women's wrestling, because there's not too much representation. Like if you want to see something like really close to like shoot style, you can go back to like Japanese wrestling or something. Like
yes.
But like over here in the States, like there are a few of us, and I'm glad there's some promotions trying to highlight some of these women that have a shoot style background. And so like for me, I take it really seriously, and I want to showcase that any chance I get, especially in just any of my matches. And that's why like at Terminus, I was thinking that I'm like, all right, this is me. Like, and again, going back to like how everyone's telling me to, change a little bit of this and that. I know, okay, I'm ready to represent me. And that's what like Gresham was saying, like these people have a specific style. And so this is the stage for them to showcase that. Okay. And so like for me, I was like, say less. That's what I'm going to do.
You think you could take Ronda Rousey?
In what sense? Like in like wrestling or
whatever, in a fight?
In a fight? I don't know. I think I can hang though. Like a lot of people have asked me if I would do an MMA fight or whatever, but I have trained for one, except my opponent backed out last minute. She backed out the week.
That's right. Fight. That's right. She scared.
And of course, of course it was like amateur. So like whatever, it doesn't mean like if they find a replacement, or I just dropped 20 pounds for no reason.
Right.
So that's what happened though. And then that's when I just decided to do wrestling. I'm like, you know what? Like I did the training for the fight, and I was very thankful to go through that because I learned so much from it. Mm-hmm. But that like that, and plus other little things that was going on in my life was like a turnaround to being, you know what, you've been wanting to wrestle, just go do that. Like it's all good. And if like an opportunity comes along, which a few people like have offered, like, hey, do you want to do like an fight for this promotion, whatever, like I'll think about it. But then again, like I still want to focus on wrestling. But I don't mind like going later, like when I see that time where I feel like I can squeeze that in right now and be okay. Like I'll do like a kickboxing fight because that's what I wanted to do. Kickboxing glory rules fight. That's what I wanted to do. And I'm of course like stand up, obviously. So, and that's what I love to do. So kickboxing glory rules fight, if anything, if I was going to accept some sort of fight down the line. That's what I want to do.
So as far as disciplines go, I mean, you're covering Taekwondo, you're covering kickboxing. Is there anything else that's like kind of piqued your interest or that you're wanting to get into and maybe develop into your repertoire?
So I actually want to try and do kung fu
Legend
or
continues.
like wushu. Like that style is so beautiful to me. And I just want to try it out because it's just something that I see a lot of too from my martial arts films and everything. That's like one that captures my attention. And I've tried jujitsu here and there. Like I'll do it and then like I'll learn from other people that I know, like some of my friends that do jujitsu. Like I'll have them like show me a few things so that I can like implement it in my matches. But I'm like no way, shape, or form interested in like competing in that because it's just like not my interest. I just like, you know, other things like the stand-up stuff. Like I also did Muay Thai. Like I also do that. I implement that in my style in wrestling. So yeah, another thing is definitely like wushu, like kung fu style. That's really cool. And I also remember like seeing those in my tournaments too that I did. There was actually kung fu students at my tournaments, and like the way that they were like doing their forms and everything was really cool. I loved watching them.
Hell yeah. What about Jeet Kune Do? You're a big Bruce Lee fan.
Oh hell yeah! I mean, like just like anything around the lines like of stand up or anything just of that nature, like I would love to do.
I think and me and Sretton both, and I have a huge, forgive pardon the term, but huge hard on for Bruce Lee. Like as I'm 39, so like as a 6-year-old kid, I was watching like Enter the Dragon and all this stuff and just enamored with this guy because not only his martial arts skills, but just like even when he was like silent or whatever, it's just like his charisma, his essence, like just bled through the screen when you're watching this guy. And you know, you stand there and just like, oh, like get off, like you're like so intense. So like I never studied the art, don't get me wrong, but I've read a lot on it and studied a lot of Bruce. I've seen a million documentaries, you know, professional and kind of independent done on him. He really is, in my opinion, like the godfather of modern day mixed martial arts. Because if you're studying the art of Jeet Kune Do, it's all about, and this is, you know, why the Chinese were so pissed off at him back in the day, because it was almost like they're like, hey, you're molesting our style. You know, you're teaching it to Westerners and then you're combining it with like boxing and wrestling. But how ahead of his time was he to, you know, have the foresight to be able to do that and like basically like true self-defense in any situation. You know, I don't think he took the best of like any discipline he could find to incorporate into what would become his own style. And that's
and I think
you can't fuck with that.
People do recognize that too. Like I've heard them like, you know, call him like the godfather or like MMA. Like I've heard that too, and I agree. Like as far as like him being that one person that started doing it and like really like showcasing that. So.
I mean, they even threw him in I know you're a gamer. They threw him in a fucking UFC game. I only bought that game because Bruce was in it. It's a waste of $64, but whatever.
Yep. Yeah, I did peep that. I did.
So speaking of gaming, you're kind of somewhat big on the Twitch. Let everybody know kind of what you're doing on there, what games you're into, and what platform you're playing on. Yeah,
so it's twitch.tv/Janai Kai. And oh my gosh, I haven't streamed in like a month and a half because like my schedule just piled up.
Let me down.
I hate when I do that because every time when I'm ready to start streaming it, I'm like, I'm back. I'm like, oh, you're back like for the 50th time. Okay, we get it. Like, so that's what's probably going to happen when I'm ready to start streaming. Like,
someone's going to cut that MJF promo on you. Be like, you left us. Now I hate you.
Probably. Knowing how the people that watch my stream and knowing how they are they probably going to be like that. But no, I like play on PC. So I usually play like scary games, or I'll stream some wrestling. Like if we have a day like where I'll have my subscribers request matches, and I have like specific rules about it. I'm like, I want to see matches from like 2008 and below. Like I don't see after that, and I don't want to watch people that I might have to wrestle because I feel like that's weird. So let's not stream anyone that's like I might wrestle. I want to watch so I let them know and like they'll request a match. So we do some wrestling watching, and then we'll just chat too. So I love chatting and like seeing what everyone's up to and what questions. Like I take in questions that they might have, and so it really depends on the day how I feel. I try to make a very set schedule. Like I'll try and do like I really think about when wrestling's playing. I try not to stream while wrestling is on.
Yeah,
because I know everyone's kind of like sidetracked and like they don't care if I'm streaming. Like they don't like, and I understand that. That's why I try not to do that. So I'll try to do it like either like in the afternoon or in the morning. Usually my mornings work out, but yeah, that's usually when I'm streaming.
So you brought up like a scary games, spooky games. Are you a horror fan?
Yeah, but I'm not like, like crazy obsessed with horror. Like I'm still like I'll try and find a horror game. That's it really. But I do love watching like scary movies too. But I don't know why I like playing those type of games. I think it's
fun.
Suspense.
Like, did you ever play man, this is probably like 5 or 6 years ago though. This was on it was on PC before, but like the Slender Man game, you remember that?
I remember that. I think I just remembered watching my friends play, but I never played it myself.
Like I like now here's the thing. I'm not in my film in the cinema. I'm not a huge fan of jump scares because I think a lot of studios tend to rely too heavily on that, and it's easily done. But in the gaming world, it's cool. Like with that game, I'd sit with my kids and turn all the lights off and play that. And like when Slender Man would just be out of nowhere, or you'd look and like there it was, and it was legit like Like the first time I played it, 35-year-old man, whatever it was at the time, I was like, turn the lights fucking back on. I can't do this shit anymore. I don't want to do it. I'm looking out my window and shit. Like,
I do like that
shit's
too.
Cool. It's a rush, when you could feel the hairs standing up on your arms because it's like it's so scary.
Yeah, I don't want to like after I watch or play something, I don't want to move anywhere else in the house. I just want to like stay where I'm at, not worry about walking to the kitchen or anything. Like I'm good for tonight. I'm good. Like I'm
just need one of those fucking grab arms. Like,
like I start thinking about that. Like, all right, now I'm just like I have to stop. Now I have to watch something funny before I go to bed.
What are you in the playing right now? Because I did see that for a while you were streaming Alien Isolation, right?
Yeah. I've been playing a lot of Dead by Daylight.
Nice.
I enjoy playing.
I suck so bad at it, but part of me wishes that it was more than just, especially with the killers, that you weren't so limited, as far as like your capabilities. Like I like in Friday the 13th, you see Jason walking around and you get to do a little bit more. That's why initially I always enjoyed playing that over Dead by Daylight. But then I'm like, man, they're getting all these IPs and throwing in some of my favorite horror characters. And Ash from Evil Dead was a survivor. Yeah, and the maps are like so speaking of that, like thinking of like implementing more for that game, because like I play with my friends, like, and we all agree, like, we said one time, like, we hope that they have like a bigger map. And when they came out with the bigger map, it was like insane because we were lost. So we're like, oh, we hate this now. Like, we hate having a bigger map. Like, it was a big, I forgot for what theme it was, but it's a huge building. But you felt like you were hitting the same spot all the time. So that's when we were kind of irritated. Like, all right, we don't like bigger maps. Kind of like the smaller maps, whatever. But yeah, also we were thinking the same thing, that we should be able to do other things rather than just running and hopping and jumping and all of that. Yeah, it's it's very limited, but it has a very dedicated fan base.
It does, yeah.
Which is cool, and they continue to give people, the public new shit. Like I saw Pinhead from Hellraiser was on it. I'm a huge Hellraiser fan. Had to get him.
Oh my gosh!
And I got a couple of achievements. I didn't even know what the fuck I was doing. But
you're playing as him?
Yeah. Oh hell yeah.
Are you play Killer or you play Survivor more?
I like to play I'd like to say it's split pretty evenly, but I think I'm a little more top heavy on the Killer side.
Oh, I'm just Survivor. I don't even try and play Killer.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know why. I think I would suck more as a Killer. I'm not even gonna try. I'm like, nah. I'm not in the mood to just suck, and everyone's trolling me that are playing against me. Because I be doing that to Killer sometimes too. But like the other friends that I play with, like they're always trolling the Killer. But I don't want to be that one Killer that sucks and they're just trolling me and teabagging me and all of that. I don't want to deal with that.
That's a clip.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Have you seen this Evil Dead game that's coming out? Evil Dead, the video game. I think it's got to be here soon, sometime in May, but it looks very, very promising. Somewhere along the lines, I think maybe of like a Dead by Daylight, Friday the 13th, but you get to be characters from, like the entire Evil Dead movie universe, which is super cool, and fight the Deadites. So if you haven't even seen a trailer or anything, like go on YouTube and check it out, because it looks badass. And it's got like all the voice. Bruce Campbell is there, all the voice actors.
Check it out then.
Super gory. I'm
pretty sure a lot of people are gonna tell me to play it too, because like a lot of people, like they know that I like playing like scary games, so I'm pretty sure I'm gonna get that recommendation from a lot of people. There's also other games that I like playing. Like I'm still trying to get into fighting games. Like I'm not so big into Tekken. No. But like there's like I played who is this? It's like an old school game, but there's martial arts in it. Sleeping Dogs.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I played that game, and there's fighting in it, so I like that. So I want to get more into the fighting games, but I've tried Tekken a little bit, and like it's just the whole thing of memorizing the combos, buttons, and all that. I'm just like, all right, it's gonna take more time than I have.
That's why I always loved like Tekken, and that's for like the Kenny Omegas of the world, and Austin Creeds and stuff like that. The guys that probably have those fucking, and same thing with Capcom games that, to do one combo hit is like ridiculous, dude. It's rocket science. I'm gonna have to resurrect Albert Einstein just to decipher how to do this fucking uppercut. That's why I was always a huge fan of Mortal Kombat, because not only the story and the characters, but the moves were simple. And over platforms and generations, Sub-Zero's freeze was always down, forward, fucking A. Back A, I'll throw a spear with Scorpion. It's never fucking changed. If it's deviated a little, okay, so Scorpion Spear is back forward A now. It's simple stuff like that. Like, and that's Mortal Kombat has stood the test of time for me. But I'll buy those other games when they're like dirt cheap on sale, because like they're cool. And I like Tekken had Negan from Walking Dead, and I was very much like, wow, that's fucking really weird, but I'm hooked, and this game's only like $14. I'll buy it, check it out. But I just didn't have fun with it, and that, like you said, learning the moves is just like the absolute shits. And
it takes more time than I have. Like, I can't learn this in 45 minutes. It's going to be a lot longer. I have to put more hours into this game, which I don't have. Yeah. So it's like, I'd rather just not.
You try to go online too, as soon as you think you got a master, and some 6-year-old kid across the ponds fucking whooping your ass. Then you quit. That's what I did. Fuck that.
Yeah, and like I have a Discord channel, and some people play Tekken on there, and they're streaming them play, and then like they're playing with other people that are on my Discord too. And I just hear them roasting each other, yelling back and forth, and it doesn't sound like a good time. No. So I'm like, I don't want to play this. Especially because you guys are going to want me to play with you, or you're going to want to watch me. So I don't want to prepare myself for this whatsoever. I'm not going to play it. Especially I have the game too, but it's just sitting there right now. And so they keep asking, when are you going to play? When are you going to play? I'm like, oh, I got the time to play. Let's play some Dead by Daylight now. Okay.
Right. Yeah. You just got to be blunt, girl, like you are in the ring. Like, we're not give a fuck.
Yeah, I'm sure they're not going to have anything to say.
Yeah. And fighting games, unless you have like that community that's really into playing it, they get old super quick. Like I love MK. I bought MK11, got all the stuff, beat the story mode, beat the towers with every character just because I'm a dork like that. I like to see the endings. And then after that, it's like, I'll never play this again. You know, unless I had like some legit friends that were like serious about coming over and, hey man, you want to toss a few back and like, you know, rock some MK, do some tournaments, throw down some money or something, you know, like shit like that. It makes it fun, but everybody's lame and they don't do that shit. And I'll be honest with you, I don't want to go online and get my ass kicked by a 6-year-old kid.
Yes. And I see that a lot too, because when they're streaming the game, like I hear them talking to the other person. They're not on my Discord, but they're talking to other people, but I can still hear them because their mic is on.
Feeding them cheat codes. That's what they're doing.
They're going back and forth with like a little kid, and like I'm asking them, I'm like, what's going on? I'm like, this 12-year-old kid just said blah, 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 blah. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, they say some filthy ass, foul ass shit on there too. It's like, man, if I could reach through and just choke you out a little bit, kid. So Janai, as we wind down here, there's one more thing I want to ask you about because I'm really curious. As I was doing some research on you, you're a big fan of drawing and artwork. I used to love drawing as a kid. What can you tell us about that? What's some of the stuff you like to draw, and where did that all stem from?
So my drawing style has changed just a little bit because I was very into like drawing people or like anime even, but then it switched up and I like doing more abstract type drawings more. I like to use, just ink, like pen, like a specific pen to do that. Sometimes paint, but I love abstract more than anything because it just gives me the opportunity just to like let me not think too much. And so I'll just let my hand go wherever I want it to, just however it feels, I'm going to happen. And that's like therapeutic too. So I love that I love that style because of the fact, but it stemmed from really my dad's side of the family. They're all artists, and my dad is definitely an artist too. Like the majority of his paintings that are in the house are from him. And there's one in the background too. I don't know if you can see that. He did that one, but I don't know if you can really see it. It's the Hulk, like the Hulk in black and white. And then like there's like a green, like shocking thing in front of him. But like that's
grab that thing off the wall real quick, girl.
That's my sister's house. I don't want
she won't mind. Come on, sis, be a team player. There we go. Go for a little walk.
I don't know. Yeah.
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That's fucking awesome.
Yeah, my dad did that. And so he likes to give my sister his paintings. Like if she comes and visits, he'll like give her a painting like that. But yeah, so it really came from him. And like in school,
I can see the abstract too.
Yeah. So yeah, the majority of that. See, that's an older painting too. But the majority of his paintings now are like more abstract. Like you should definitely check it out. I'm gonna see if I have any pictures of it. But yeah, so it came from him. And then in school, I was mainly into like the art classes or the creative classes. So I was more like the creative kid, if anything. Just wanted to draw and all that. But yeah, I love it so much. It's great. It's therapeutic, everything.
It's something I wish I had the time to really kind of channel myself into again and get back into, because I loved it as a kid. And I was drawing superheroes all the time, or skulls. I was never really good at buildings or anything like that. I didn't want to draw environments.
Oh
like
my
so in
God.
art class, it's like, draw this bowl of fruit. And I'm like, fuck you.
It would suck too, because you really had to pay attention to the positioning, especially with the buildings. Like you had to pay attention to like if the building's like in front, is that line crooked? Like make sure it's straight because it doesn't look. Because when you look from afar, it's like it looks jacked up. And then, you mentioned superheroes. Have you tried to draw your own like made up superheroes? Because that's what I used to do
when I was a kid. I'm talking. So me and a buddy started like a comic book label. It was obviously never went anywhere. But I mean, like in third, fourth grade, I was drawing all my favorite superheroes and coloring them and cutting them out and putting them on popsicle sticks and like,
oh my gosh, that's awesome.
There was one character that I kind of developed. I think like middle school, high school. His name was Shrapnel, and like his power. He would just obviously lived up to his name. It was all these like projectile shards of like metal or glass or whatever he would touch that would protrude out of him, and he had to wear this special suit to kind of keep it contained. And so like almost like, if Rogue was to touch somebody, she would get powers like he's to touch something, and then it like just comes out of his body in shards and like shoots everywhere. So he'd constantly be stitching up his suit and everything. And that was about crazy. As far as I went, like developing a story other than these two Beavis and Butthead-esque characters that I developed. But it was I was really hardcore about it. I don't know, I got into playing music and stuff. And
like I used to draw like my own superheroes, but like I did like a little bit of comics too, because I was still like into anime, so I'll try to make my own little anime story too, but that didn't go anywhere. And I'll try to make like a little booklet like stapled staple papers together, and I'll just draw like my own little comic or anime. Good times.
Good times.
I was gonna derail the show for the third time and talk about when I was a kid and the one superhero I was most proud of, and it didn't have any superpowers, but it was a donkey that would the donkey's costume was butt cheeks, and the superhero was called ass, and I was very proud of that. I quit the show.
He's fucking fired. But hey, get the fuck out of here.
Ass. Come on, man.
Jesus, ass. Once again, the delinquents at the juvenile detention centers. You're very good at it. But yes, I love the abstract thing. Like a lot of my favorite artists are my favorite because the exaggerated features. And I always hated people telling me, like, well, why does his arm look too long, or hands too big, or this, because it's exaggerated artwork. It's like abstract. My therapy as well. I used to sit there and draw these guys, and I'd always be weird. I'd say I love using pen and pencil, but mainly pen.
Yeah.
And I would have to do it good. So you know how it is once you fuck up a little piece. Well, can't use that. Throw that piece of paper away. But I'd be squinting my eyes all the time, like I'm blind, even though it's right in front of me. But for some reason, that was just like my little tick when I was drawing. And I love the art style like that. And guys like Sam Keith back in the day created a character called the Max for Image Comics. Todd McFarlane, who did a really great run on Spider-Man, created Spawn. And then there's a bunch of other guys that just, the exaggerated features, like for me, I was like, that's the stuff I like. I don't want to conform. I didn't like sitting in art class like, well, you didn't exactly draw the body proportion. Like, fuck you. I draw how I want to draw it. It looks badass.
Yeah, exactly. That's how
I hated art grades. It's all subjective.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that was the one thing with art class, especially like my senior year, because I was supposed to go to a college for illustration. I was going to be majoring in illustration. And like, so senior year of high school was like, I was so like stressed over any art project that we had. I was like, now remembering, it's just like, for some reason it sounds so dumb to me to be so stressed over all that. Like just over any art project, like I really had to it had to be a masterpiece.
Yeah.
Or else like, I'm not going to get that A. And then my teacher is going to think that I'm not ready to go to art school, or like it's just stuff like that. Because there's other people that are good too, of course. But like, I don't know. I was just trying to make something different. But I know I'm going to get graded for it. And they're not, probably the teacher's not going to see what they see like from someone else, they're not going to see in me. So like I always thought about that too. But at the end of the day, like it doesn't matter. Like that's why I love wrestling too, because wrestling's art. You know, you're your own character, your own thing. Like it's like you, but like this is what you've always wanted to showcase or be, or that art style. That's why I love wrestling too.
Right. And instead of acrylic, you're using plasma and or blood to fucking paint the ring red with your opponents.
Spin kicks.
A nice kick to the face. A nice punch
spin kick. Yeah.
Spinning side kick. So Janai, right now is the time for you to let everybody know where they can find you at. If you have any merch, anything else upcoming. We know you got Wrestlerave coming up on the 19th. We also know that you got Josh Barnett's Bloodsport on the 31st. Other than that, what all else do you have going on in your life? And let the people know.
Yeah, so for Twitter and Instagram, it's the same handle. You can reach me at Janai_Kai. And I'm usually pretty active on both of those. And then Twitch, you guys already told you that like my schedule is just all over the place, but it's twitch.tv/Janai Kai. I also do content like blogs and stuff on my Patreon. So I have a Patreon. It's patreon.com/Janai Kai. And I do daily blog posts on there. So like even right now, like I'm staying in Texas for a whole month, I'm going to be blogging every day as to what I did each day and like new spots that I found in Texas and stuff like that. So I'll be putting all that content on there. So if you're interested in that, you can check it out there. And then what else do I have? Okay, so as far as merch, I don't have a merch store like online. So I've been just really promoting it through social media as far as like what's coming in. And then I'll just tell people like, hey, DM me if you want it, and I'll just ship it to you. So that's how I've just been really working things. And then, of course, at shows, I'll have my merch there. So if you see me announce a show, I will most likely be selling my merch there. So that's how you can get my merch if you're interested.
Hell yeah. And if you are interested, you motherfuckers got 2 chances this month. So be on top of your game and support awesome shit. Or else you're going to kick you in the damn mouth. I mean, there ain't no escaping that. It really ain't.
Yes, exactly.
Janai, this has been a fucking pleasure and an honor. Thank you so much. Much success and prosperity to you in your future. We'll be watching you along the way. We fucking love you. Keep up the good work, sister. Everybody out there watching and listening right now, hit that like and subscribe button. Share with your friends on YouTube. If you're listening in podcast land, download, rate, review, and share. We're on all that social media shit. Unfortunately, yes, sometimes TikTok too. ProWrestlingTees.com. Buy the shirts. Read the graphic. If you're listening on the podcasting platform, you obviously can't do that. ProWrestlingTees.com/JPWtees. Buy some shirts and support a good fucking cause so we can keep doing this and talking to awesome fucking people like Janai. Until next time, this is The Juice. That's Janai Kai, and that's Sweating the Somewhat Savage. Complete asshole in my book. Hey, until next time, wet 'em up, wet 'em up, wet 'em up, wet 'em up. Oh, yeah. You motherfuckers ain't ready for the demon kick. Yeah, Janai.
You gonna do sex to me?
Did you like that video? If so, be sure to hit like and subscribe and check out more killer content from your boys at Juice Pro Wrestling. Whoa, yeah!